Oh, good morning, folks. To me, this is a Saturday morning. I don't know what day I've put this video out. I'm feeling a little bit rough myself, but I'm hoping to get a few jobs done before I aim to go back to bed. As always, the way when you want to work on cars, it's either the weather or just having complete man flu symptoms. And I just want to show you that actually. I've got that's the original wobbly key. By the way, that's the new fob case that I showed you before, and I've put all the gubbins in that. So hopefully when I've got a battery for it, I might be able to actually use the fob. But on Fords, it's the opposite way. You turn left to lock it and then right to unlock, but it's the opposite on Rovers for some reason. First problem of the day, guys, is this. I cannot hear the boot opening. That cable is not pulling that boot open. Yep, lovely, it's stuck. And I think I know why. I'll just get in the car and show you the reason why. Alright, just put this forward. Okay, I left half my stuff in the back of the car from yesterday, which is really good of me. Oh, I've left that grommet that goes on the latch itself. Let's get in. Ooh. Right. Okay, so what we have is the cable here. I did give this a clean up last night, a bit of WD, so this now moves a bit more freely. Now, what this does is you've got this little pull just here where my finger is. You can just about see it in, sorry about the light. But basically when you pull the cable, it pushes the pull up and it releases the tailgate. And if I can't do it with two hands, but if I just push with my head, there we go, up it goes. Right, now basically what's happening is it's not pulling. Well, it is pulling far enough because there's a stop here. You can see where it stops. There you go, that's the max, right? That's how the cable pulls it. This is a lot more free now than it was. I'm pleased that I've cleaned all this up because this really just get cooked in. So like, I've got to rust convert all that today. And that little bit there as well just needs a bit of treatment. But basically what I think the problem is because the boot seal isn't on, the boot, the tailgate, is not being pushed away. Crump. Now that is as far as the cable goes, but that is actually only just about enough to lift the boot away. Now the only reason the tailgate is releasing is because I'm putting my head on the tailgate, putting upwards pressure. Now obviously when you're at the front of the car pulling that cable lever, you're not doing that, it's just doing this. But that's not enough to get that lever to stay up and not click down in the lock position. And what I think is happening is that when I put this seal back on later, that seal makes the tailgate it gives a bit of pressure to that tailgate, because that's what a seal is. It's supposed to be a big fixed seal and it's supposed to just give it a bit of pressure on the tailgate. And at the moment there's no resistance on that tailgate. There's no upward force. But as soon as I put that seal on and I pull that cable, it will pop up just enough for me to open the tailgate, because that seal gives that upward pressure. So anyway, I'm going to open it. Just leave it on. Come on. No, it doesn't want to open it. There we go. Right. Ouch, my head. People think I'm absolutely mad doing that, but anyway, let's get cracking. Anyway, first one is to put this rubber grommet back in. Just pop it in there. I think this might require two hands. Yes it is, but you get the idea. It goes back in there like that. Now there really isn't much more to it, to be honest. There we go, done. I'll just clean that up and we'll put the rust killer on. Now the stuff I use is this Granville Rust Repair. Now I've used a lot of rust killers over the years. Hammerite, Coup Rust, which was pretty good. Genolite, pretty good, British brand again. But I've actually stuck with Granville because I actually quite like it. It does leave sort of light blue substance behind, but the idea is that you paint over it, or you could just leave it as it is. And I'm going to use this on a lot of the suspension components just to make them look a little bit more less surface rusty. But this, for one reason, I love. You put it in a mug, an old mug, with a brush, and you could leave it there for hours, and the brush is still nice and soft. Hammerite, Genolite, and all the others, they just go hard, rock hard, and even White Spirit can't sort it out. So if you don't clean that paintbrush with Spirit straight away after using the rust killer, you have to get a new paintbrush. This paintbrush I've used over a year, because this stuff for some reason does not cause it to go hard. But it just says it's a rust treatment that's high effective neutral stabilizer and inhibitor based on organic and inorganic acids. That's the important bit: organic or inorganic acids. Some of them are not based on that, which is I think why they're different. But I've done the prep. You've got to remove all the loose rust to this point, and then you can use this, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing underneath, or what I have started to do on the front suspension areas. It's just a simple case of getting this mixture and then just carefully painting it on. That's all we're doing, we're just painting it on. There might be some excess, but you won't need much. So already it looks as if it's clean, it's already reacted straight away as soon as I've applied it. Yeah, I can see it bubbling on the surface. It almost looks as if it takes some of the metal back to bear. That's the metal that I couldn't take back enough. It almost looks like it. Just a bit here on the corner. What I will say is if you get any on normal paint, it will just run off. You see all this? The reason it's this colour is because it's sitting on good paint. It won't react, so you can just wash it off, so it's not going to damage the paintwork. So I could just paint it on here and it would just sit there. It won't do anything because it's not going to react. The idea is it reacts with there you go. A bit too much there, and I think there was a bit just up here, just on the corner. You might think I'm going a bit too far, considering that the underside needs a lot of this, but yeah, I'd rather. So those are the seams that can sometimes go, but that's okay. What we're going to do, we're just going to get some more. Don't need much. This will be enough for some of the underside. I might use it a bit later, but as I say, you can just use what you need. Nothing more than that. I'll just splash it out a bit, and then just put a bit more up here, just along this seam. Doing this is an art on camera. Any YouTuber will tell you whatever they're doing, you've got to look at what you're doing to do a decent job, but you've also got to look at where your camera is. You don't want your camera like that, and then you look back and think, oh my god, why was the camera there, or like that, or like that. It takes a bit of practice. I'm still learning. Right, I think that is all good. Now we're going to let that react now and just set off. That should take about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll wipe off the excess. In the meantime, I will show you one thing that I discovered. This side is bone dry around the vent. This side wasn't as dry. I'll just pull that up. You see down there, there's still a bit of muck down here, but there was some water there. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that vent wasn't leaking, so it could have just been historical water. But I've just got rid of the excess, and to be honest with you, there is no rust. You can see it in there. No, you can't. But this is where it was congregating. See, a little bit down there, but that's fine by me. It's not going to do any damage. Just clean. One thing I would like to point out is on the Rover, we've got these pushing clips, which look very familiar to me, being a Ford orientated person. That one. Oh, it's a Phillips screw. Why is there a Phillips screw there? Oh, I'll tell you why. That Phillips screw holds that in. How random is that? Just slap a Phillips screw amongst a load of push-on clips. It just looks wrong. I do know that this has been taken off in the past as well, because you've got this hole here where there should be well, those fir tree clips, I'll show you actually. But that has just been put in by somebody else. I'm going to whip that out. That's just like, what the hell is that? Someone's put that in the past. Very bad. It's these. These are what we call fir tree clips. They sort of bend back. I think the original one is here. I don't know if the new ones in that packet are big enough, but I'll have a look. But this is one off the other side, which goes here. There. I also believe that there's a couple missing here and here, and they had these pushing clips. They shouldn't be there. So I'm going to put some fir tree clips in that side. I just noticed actually, you've got all these straps. Wow. Okay. I wonder what they could be for. I've seen them from the factory, but just a nice little gimmick. And also the other thing that I've been trying to work this out. I've got two carpets here. I'll put them on the floor so you can clearly see them. Put them under it. So you've got that one. Have a good look at it. And then you've got this one, a slightly different colour. Right. I'm going to turn this round. Okay. And this one. You tell me where these have come from. Because one of these looks as if, well, I personally think that that one doesn't belong to the car. That one might be something to do with the old CD changer. Maybe it covered it up. But I can't work out how it actually fits in. And I can't see where these mounting holes would actually line up anywhere. So that's pretty weird, to be honest. But I'm going to keep them around just in case, but I don't think they go anywhere. There's nowhere for them to go inside the car or in here, so very weird. And the other thing I want to deal with, because they're broken, I mean, it's not a priority because I'm not going to buy anything until I know that engine is running with a new head gasket, which is why I'm not really accelerating too much. I don't know whether firstly, the parking sensor system, I don't think it came on when I took it for the test drive, but does the parking sensor system only turn on when you're really close to something and it starts beeping? It's possible, but the fuse for the parking sensor system is down there, so I'll check that out, because I've had a look at that fuse box and there's two fuses for this car that are not applicable. The heated seats, because these are not heated seats, they only got them on the saloons, and the sunroof opening, well, we don't have a sunroof in this car, so I've removed them two fuses, but all the other fuses check out. They're exactly the correct ampage. That's only something I wanted to check, because on the Focus, when I first bought the car, I had a slight issue with the rear wiper not working. Now, it turned out to be a wiring issue where they break, where they go into the tailgate. And I know it's common with all cars this kind of era, because they've got to an age where the wiring is now brittle, and the opening and closing of a tailgate or door, even these, you have the wiring that goes into the doors, you know, it kind of doesn't help either, and then they eventually break. But I looked at the fuse box and it had absolutely no correlation to what fuses were supposed to go where. It looked as if someone plonked a fuse box from a different car, but it wasn't. It was the original fuse box. As far as I know, it was untouched. It was very dusty. The car was 11 years old at this time. So because of that experience, I always check the fuse box to make sure that the fuses are all correct and I've got all the fuses I need for the equipment that I have in the car. So I'm going to, well, as I say, that's something that will only happen, and I'll find out when I get a battery on it. But these vents are completely goosed, absolutely goosed. That one's gone. This one is just nothing. Now this one still works. I'm assuming that these are all, you can actually twist this. That's a clever little design feature. I didn't know that. So you can turn it, so it's off. Got you. And it'll be on, all the way off. Well, we're going to get these out, but I'm just going to have to use a very gentle pry bar tool. Not because I want to not damage the vents, because they're broken, but I don't want to damage the surrounding of the dashboard. So I'm going to do that off camera with one of these pry bar tools, and we'll see how we get. I assume it's popped in. Absolute pain, these are. Wow, got you out. There's a bit of me at the bottom, but God, that was stiff. You just got to really get these tabs on the go, and then you can pull it out. I mean, so ideally what happens is you twist this. Sorry, I can't do this with two hands. So you twist this and it opens that flap, presumably, or does it? Let me just have a look off camera and I'll work it out. Yeah, so when you twist this dial to the right like this, it opens and closes that flap. Okay, that's a nice little design feature. It's just a pity, it's just so, yeah. These are just so weak. I tell you what, do not put a phone holder on these flaps, because they just break off. They're literally the thinnest things ever. They look nice, don't get me wrong. They look very similar to what an Audi TT, I believe. But we're going to whack the other one out now, and these are going to go in the bin. It's a shame, but unfortunately they're just not usable. The trick with these is you've got to actually, I've given up with the pry bar tool, it wasn't strong enough. Gently with a screwdriver get in to the point where you've actually pulled it forward just a little bit, and then literally just, that's it. Get your hands all round and just give it a good pull. That's it. I believe there is a bit at the bottom where it cues in, this little cutout just here. But yeah, all looks good. All looks good behind there. Yeah, okay, so again, this one's even worse. It's just, it's rubbish. So, scrap pile. Again, something else to add to the list. I'm missing a cover. I think Rimmer Brothers sell them for about £7. I do need a luggage lens cover, so I'll find one of them very soon. And now I'm going to try get some of these fir tree clips. In fact, I've got one here. See if I can actually fit this to here. I'm hoping it will work. Nah, not big. Okay, so these clips I've got are not big enough, so I'm going to have to measure the diameter and work out what fir tree clips will go in these holes. I think the idea is I'm going to have to get my vernier gauge and measure the size of the hole, and then we'll go from there. See, I'll show you on this one. It's just too small, way too small. Okay, well, it's worth a try because I had some spare ones, but I'm gonna have to order some new ones. Okay, so those of you who are wanting to actually get proper size clips, you just get make sure it's at 0. You do need one of these, by the way. These are invaluable for getting hold of the correct items stuff. Now that is exactly about 8mm. I would say, give or take, about 8mm, and that will get you the right size fur clip. So I'll look on eBay and order some. I've just bought my vacuum just to clean up after all this, but those are my clips. But yeah, there's like 1, 2, 3 clips. I'm actually going to pull this out because it's getting into my pliers for that. Let's have a look at my pliers. My bag of bits. Is it good enough? Right, there we go. Into the dustbin of rubbish with 2 vents and a load of other bits. And you can see how it's actually reacted quite nicely, and there as well, and there, and up here. It's just reacted where it needs to react. It won't react to parts that doesn't need to react to. That's barely anything. There we got here as well, the biggie. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a bit of painting. I'm going to do that off camera, but I'm basically going to get a piece of cardboard, zinc primer very carefully, all along where I need to go along. Functional, and it'll be hidden. Oh, if you don't get it on the bumper, it's silver. It's not as if it's a black car that will show up instantly. It's not the best finish, but it's gonna be functional, and that's the main thing. That is what you want. You just want it to be reasonably functional. You don't want it to look stupid, but at the same time, I'm just going to put a light coat on that. Lovely. If there's any overspray, I can easily take it off, but that's that. So I'll leave that to dry now. I think I've got a bit too much overspray on that, but just back with my finger. But yeah, that's absolutely fine, and that as well. Fine, cool. I mean, no, I'm not really going to bother to mask that up, because at the end of the day, as long as it looks clean, I don't mind. And that's really all that's going to require. That's just a light coating, and that's it. That's just going to protect it. I mean, ideally you want an overcoat up here, but I'm not too bothered. The end result will justify doing this. Remember, this isn't the focus. I've got to prioritise where I'm spending the money. At the moment, it's not here. Okay. Right, I'm going to attempt to give it a vacuum and get some of this dog hair out while this paint is just about finishing. I have gone over with just a bit of white spirit just to get rid of the paint around the excess areas. I mean, it looks a bit obvious, but to be honest with you, I just want it kept minimal. As long as it's functional, I don't mind. In this area of the car, I'm not bothered. I just want a functioning car at the moment. Right, now for those of you who've got dog cars or ex-dog cars, if you're struggling to pick up the dog hairs, particularly on the sides, now this tool is my hard tool. I haven't got a hard tool of that. That's quite a soft one. You use one of these. I use this for upholstery and literally just scratch the hairs off so it drops on the floor, and they're coming off really nicely. So I'm just going to go all the way around and just scratch it off. This is really good, and I'm going to be using this brush for the headlining when I'm scratching off all the backing board, because obviously it's sagged quite badly on this side. So yeah, there's this trim actually on the headlining. I'm hoping I can get that off, but if not, never mind. But the headlining will have to be changed at some point. See, these hairs are just, they're all coming off quite nicely now. Yeah, nice and loose, because the only thing is with this recycled carpet material. It does, everything sticks to it. Unfortunately, this is where Rover started really skimping on the cars, particularly with Project Drive, where they basically took away quite a few nice things, like an illuminated ignition barrel, that sort of thing. And the carpets, they were proper pile carpets, not recycled stuff. Because this is the stuff that other companies use, like Vauxhall and Ford. Cheap. Rover tried to set themselves above that. What we'll do, the backs of the chairs while I've got them, see all this loose hair down here is all coming off, and gigantic amounts of dust as well, but this is all going to be cleaned spick and span. It's quite satisfying doing this actually, because it's not damaging the material, it's just taking off stuff and items that shouldn't be on there. Okay, big seal time. So what I'll do is I'll start at the bottom where they meet, and then we'll go round, because you can either get it too far to the left or too far to the right. So I'll just sort out that. But look how clean that has really come up. You can actually see now in the sun that is well and truly ready to receive this new seal. That's dried really nicely. It's dried lovely. You'd hardly notice any damage. I find with these seals, if one piece is not sitting still, you're going to have to take the end off and start again and come back until the point at which it fits. But just give it a gentle tap and it should persuade it into a line. It's just these fiddly areas where it goes around a bend where the seam isn't quite so straight. We'll just hook it up, and there's a little hook at the end there. Okay, it hooks straight into this piece here and you're done. There we go, one complete boot seal reinstalled, and now we're just gonna pop the trim panel back in and make sure that the boot does open with the cable. Right, lovely. All the clips are back into place. Obviously I've got one missing clip, 2 free, so I've got to get 3 fur trim clips like that one there, and then we've basically got everything we need here. I'm just going to shut the boot and we're going to do the test. Strange enough, it won't shut. Why is that? Right, I'm just going to give this seal a bit of a tap. I mean, I should use a rubber malleting hammer, but to be honest with you, this is just to check and confirm this seal is properly on, because sometimes they just don't go on with the usual amount of force placed upon them. See how it's going in? Oh, we'll try it now. It's not quite latching down. Let me have a look at this. What I've done is I've sprayed silicone seal along the seam, so hopefully the rubber will be supple enough for the actual boot to close. I suspect that's the problem. This rubber has gone hard over the years, so hopefully if I do this, there you go, it shuts. But that took a slam, so maybe we need to do that a few times. And the real test is if this works. Oh dear, that doesn't sound very promising. No. Okay, it's worked now. As you can see where my screwdriver is, you just pry up on that and it releases. Now, why did that not work? Try again. This time that rubber is proving quite thick. Right, that's gone down. See if we can open it again using the cable. Third attempt. No, this is not very good. Right, I'm going to put more silicone seal on these rubbers and we'll see what that does, because it did work the once off camera, frustratingly. So I'll have a go. Right, I'm going to try a bit more gentle. A shut. Right, that was way more gentle. We are getting somewhere. That shut without being slammed, so that clearly worked in terms of the shutting, putting silicone on there. Now we're going to come round to the cable. I've got a feeling there's something not quite right with the cable, because it was working before and then it just suddenly stopped working. No, all I can hear is the cable working the door mechanism. See, that was working perfectly fine before. That's really weird. I'm gonna have another look again. Now, I've got this theory that there's not enough cable movement, so what I've done is I've just removed this panel, okay, and there's a little Phillips screw underneath it, okay, and then you take out a clip that just sits here, a little fir tree clip, here it is, and you just pry off these buttons by just pushing that way off the levers, okay. Now the petrol filler flat one feels quite stiff, so I'll look at that. This one feels more free because obviously I've been using it and lubricating it, so I'm just going to shift this off a second and we'll have a better look. Okay, so we've got the selectors down here, so I'm just going to lubricate this mechanism a little bit more and we'll see where we can get. It does need cleaning by the look of it. Okay, I've just cleaned up the internal mechanism, put lots of WD-40 around the linkages, and both of them have actually freed off. That is much better, the fuel one, and it still feels a little bit stiff, that one, but this is freed up as it can be. It could be the cable inside the groove. It is a long cable run, so we'll just see how that goes. Right, for the 5th time today. Right, that shuts. Now I'm just going to put my camera towards the back. Not quite. Unless that has actually released. Ah, right, it's opened. Sorry about that, guys. For some reason my camera actually cut me off, unless I pressed the delete button by mistake. Yeah, I had to give that lever a really sharp tug just then, but it is freeing off ever so slightly. So I think we just keep going with this. Every time we work on the car, we just give it a good tug, because it seems to be getting better. The boot is shutting better with less effort. I think it's just because I've disturbed the seal, and you know, when you disturb things don't quite line up. But we're going to go with that, and I'm very satisfied. If we could do it one more time, just for the benefit, shuts. Okay, and we just listen to the sound. See what I mean? It's opened. Sharp tug, done. I think, guys, this is where I'm going to end the video. Just to put this casing back on, you know, I'm just going to give this a bit of a clean up. But basically, you put it back over the top, put the levers back on, put the screw in, the clip in, and then put that back over. That's it. I will leave you there, guys. See you next time.